Is it working?
I would love to. So I know I said this at the top. Thank you all so much for joining us. And for anybody who's watching this afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about what the Fellow Council is and how to apply to be part of the next cohort. At the end, as Abby mentioned at the top, you're going to have a chance to hear directly from currently serving council members on their experience, their insights into the process, and most importantly, ask them questions. They're definitely, I'm going to speak on their behalf, happy to share their thoughts and insights from their time on the council. So before we get to all of that good stuff, what is the Fellow Council? So wanting to give a brief overview of what it is. So the Fellow Council is a group of dedicated resolution fellows who act as sounding boards for organizational decision-making. They lead community building activities for fellows and really just are a lot of the heart of the fellow community. The entire council is composed of 16 fellows, and those 16 fellows are elected in interlocking cohorts of 8 members each year. So each year, 8 members join the council and 8 members finish their term. It is a 2-year term, with each term beginning in September. So the application process runs kind of over the summer, so June to August, with the official term starting in September. You'll hear us talk a lot about council members by region, and that is because that's one of the things that we asked council members to select for themselves and to kind of choose to represent. So each council member represents one or more regions around the globe where Resolution Fellows are based. This list grows longer every year, which is super exciting, but this is the current list of current and past members of the council along with the regions that they represent. You might see some folks twice, and that is because they wore multiple hats whilst on the council and served for multiple regions. An important thing to note for those of you who are going to go on to complete the application, we do ask that you select a region that you would like to be considered for. You don't have to be actively living in the region to represent it. It certainly helps in terms of like scheduling and timing, but that is not the requirement. Really, it's just what region you feel most called to represent. Most often, this is the place that the council members are based. And I would encourage folks to keep in mind time differences. So if you are based in the US, but you would really like to represent Australia, that's going to be a bit of a challenge time-wise. Maybe not, maybe it will. So just take that into consideration. You would be working with folks in that region, so may or may not be helpful for your time zone, depending where you're currently based. So council members do a lot, and these few slides definitely don't give the full range of what the council has done and will do. But to attempt to give you a really brief snapshot, we've pulled together a list of some of the recent highlights of the council's work under each of like the core categories that we shared at the beginning. So the first one is community building. I'm almost certain some of you have been to council events in the past, whether or not you knew they were council events at the time. But community building events is one of the biggest parts of the council's role. So these could include in-person events or longer-term engagement opportunities like Buddy Up, Mastermind, shout out to Ambrose, and Rooted Together, which is currently happening in Ghana. One of the really cool things about the council in general, but particularly around community building and initiatives, is that there's quite a lot of flexibility here. We really encourage council members to be creative in the types of events and spaces they want to create. And we do have budget to support events, both in person and virtually and ongoing. So a lot of flexibility, and definitely happy to have a council member share a bit more about what all of these things looked like historically, but quick snapshot to start. They also are really important for providing organizational feedback and insights on resolutions, resources, and opportunities, and on organizational decision-making. So this looks a lot of different ways. Often it's discussions in our monthly meetings. Sometimes it includes pre-work. Sometimes it includes one-on-one discussions with staff outside of those. Some of the major things recently that we've chatted through with the council and gotten their thoughts and feedback on are tagged here. So new seed funding reporting requirements, talking about what's going on with Enactus and where the council is interested to get more engaged, where they're interested to learn more about, particularly within thought leadership, but also with Enactus overall. Some feedback and revisions to the SVC application. We recently did one on resources and opportunities last week. So there's a lot to dig into and a lot to give feedback on, and we really do appreciate hearing directly from council members to really help shape what fellowship looks like. Finally, council members represent resolution as leaders within the community. So council members are often offered unique leadership opportunities and invited to represent resolution in a number of ways. This could include serving as a judge or a award speaker like Maria on the bottom there, both in person or virtually. We've had council members lead breakout sessions for new fellows to welcome them to the community, and then able to join us at in-person events where that is budget available to do so, and logistically feasible. But definitely a really fun and important part of the council as well is being a representative of the resolution community. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Abby to talk a little bit more about how to apply.
Yeah, so this year we are looking to recruit 8 fellows to serve on the 6th cohort of the council. These new members would serve starting September 2025 until August 2027. There's some key eligibility criteria that I do want to highlight here. The first being time commitment. Council members are required to commit approximately 4 to 5 hours per month to their work on the council, which includes a monthly meeting with resolution staff. To be eligible, fellows must also have been onboarded for at least a year. If you're not quite sure what date you onboarded, please feel free to reach out to me. I can pull that really quickly for you. And applicants must also demonstrate an alignment to the mission and values of Resolution Project, and either be active in the community or show interest in becoming more involved. Even if you have spent a bit of time away from the Resolution community, that is fine. We just want to see that you are looking to become more engaged, as this is a great opportunity too as well. One really important note, which Fiona covered a little bit around geography, is that throughout the selection process, we consider diversity in geography, cohort, and experience in an effort to capture as much of the fellowship experience in one group as we can. If someone isn't selected for the fellow council in this particular cohort, it is not a direct reflection on their ability to lead, but rather a balancing of multiple factors. Applications are going to open on June 11th, which is 1 week from today, and will close on June 25th. We will be sending reminders as we get closer to the deadline, and it will be posted on our LinkedIn and our Facebook, so you will see it and will be hearing from us. The first step in this application process is to self-nominate through a short application form. We do encourage you to spend some time completing this step, and keep in mind that there are limited spaces for each cohort, so your responses here do play a role in the selection process. You will also need one recommendation from a resolution affiliate. This could be your guide, another fellow that you work with, for example, your co-founder or someone in the community you know well, or some other form of a resolution volunteer. But importantly, this recommendation cannot come from staff. We do suggest that you select a recommender that you've worked closely with and can speak to your abilities on a personal level. If your application does not have a recommendation with it, we will not be able to consider your application complete. Then, after that application process, if chosen to move on to the next round, you would have a conversation with a resolution staff member to talk more about your interest in serving on the council. Resolution staff members evaluate all of this material and then choose the final council members. With that, before I turn it over to the council, I wanted to ask if anyone has any questions on the application process or the council itself that Fiona and I have covered so far. Okay. Now then it is my absolute pleasure to turn it over to some of our current council members. So welcome, please help me welcome Ambrose. He shared a bit about himself at the top of the call. Anand, and unfortunately Tavisha is not able to join us today due to some family circumstances. So we are in good hands with Ambrose and Anand. So I have a few questions to get us started. But if you have any questions for council members directly, please feel free to either drop them in the chat or when I turn it over to the room, raise your hand or come off mute. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. So starting with what is your favorite part of being on the council right now? Anand, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll say the relationships are definitely like the first thing that come to mind, but I also think the like insight into how a social impact organization does what they do, I think has been really interesting to see. Coming into fellow council on like the tail end of the like acquisition of Enactus, it was interesting to see that process like play out and to understand like what are leaders at social social enterprises, like what are they thinking about when considering these types of moves. So yeah, relationships and the learnings I think have been like the two outstanding aspects of the experience.
Awesome, thank you. And Ambrose, what about you?
Thank you. Honestly, it's quite hard to pick, but I think I have two. But I can say it has been so fulfilling to be part of the council member. I think before I joined, I used to really like admire a lot. Before I joined the fellow council, I used to admire a lot from how the other cohorts have been doing it, and yeah. So when I got opportunity, like I was so happy, like so that I can be part of it. Yes, Hanan said, being part of seeing how NGOs, government partners do their thing is it's really interesting as well to see. But I would say it's also being part of something bigger than myself. I think the moment when you're on call with fellows council across the world, be it Ghana, India, US, MENA region, I think you're not just sharing updates, you're building ideas that actually turn into real programs. I think a favorite part of it, like we're always discussing several ideas which really shape the fellowship. I think be it from Mastermind, be it from Buddy Up, be it from Emergency Fund and actors, like our voices always shape those ideas before even rolling out to the fellows. So I think that's quite really something very, very. I think even recently we are discussing how best could we improve on the resourceful fund fellow resource platform. I think those things really is my favorite. Like try to improve from the inside before taking it outside. So we shape them together, and I know that thing, something you could co-create, is now helping another fellow to get through tough moment, grow in their venture, and I feel like that is huge for me. And it's also a relationship. I think cohort is just a mix of different backgrounds, different time zone, and that somehow it works. We hold spaces for each other, we challenge each other. I think in between there, we also laugh and kind of a committee, which is something there. So yeah, being the part of the work and being behind it is definitely my favorite part. Thank you so much.
Thank you. the next question I have is what motivated you to apply for the council? I know that both of you are coming up on about a year in the council, so it's a bit of a retrospective looking back. But what was that like about this time last year? Anand, do you want to get us started again?
Yeah, I think my like resolution experience is a little bit non-traditional in that my venture failed. And so I thought that I could be like an interesting case study for like what would, part of entrepreneurship is failure, and I think that's totally okay. I think like it's not always like the poster children that we are like designing fellowship experiences for. And so part of me was interested in joining as like, how could I be a model on which like resolution project and like fellow council kind of designs for, those of us whose like ventures didn't work out, and like we like sunset them. And so that was my impetus, and I think what kind of committed me to it was like this reminder of seeing how big the resolution project community is, but how like because of my experience with like COVID and when I started the venture and when we like got onboarded, we just didn't like tap into that broader network as much. And so we were really tight with our guides, and we still, even now, like once every 3 months, we'll have a conversation with them. But I wanted to step more into the like resolution community writ large. And so yeah, this time 3 years ago was when I first considered applying. But I thought like, nah, I don't really know. Like I think it's okay if I if I come in as like a little bit older a few years later. And I think that would be like a helpful perspective. Um, but then last year was when I really thought like, okay, we're kind of coming out of COVID. I'm seeing this other fellowship program that I'm a part of. They're going through their like growth experiences and things are changing. I think this would be like a impactful moment to be able to provide some input on programs that are doing like entrepreneurship support, especially social impact orgs. Um, and so yeah, those were kind of like the two considerations I was having prior to coming in.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something really important in that your application to the council has nothing to do with the status of your venture.
Mm-hmm.
It is, you are not required to be actively working on your venture or any venture at all. And
Yeah.
in fact, we do look for a variety of perspectives of fellows who, on and to your point, didn't have the resources you need to get started, and like how can we make sure that we are continuously improving the fellowship so that folks have the best opportunity they can to launch their venture. Ambrose, what about you? What motivated you to apply for the council?
Yeah, thank you. What motivated me? I think it started with the feeling. I think mix of gratitude and responsibility. I really agree with all what Anand said. Yeah, so mine just started like a mix of kind of gratitude and responsibility. So I remember when I became a fellow, yes, I was quite happy. And first of all, I felt seen, yes, because yeah, my idea won. It's like, okay, feel like there's someone there who has recognized my work. So most importantly, when I came into the committee that believed in me, and over time I kept asking myself, now, how can I give back to the same community that work with me? Yeah, and I had ideas, yes, like also to try to make the fellow council or the fellow community better. Places where fellows are doing amazing things, maybe but how best could we leave it before we found it? Because that's always my idea. Always like I need to when I'm in a certain kind of a community, I have to do something to make it better, and that's why I said I wanted to be part of something bigger, like something bigger that is try to improve on the fellowship, not from the outside but from the inside, using the council. And when I read through about the council fellowship, the council member, felt like there was literally you're doing more of I can say Fiona, Abby, like supporting Abby, Fiona, and the rest of the team to make the fellowship better. When I heard about that, I said, like, no, this is what I need. Because I feel like when I reach there, I can really try to influence a lot of things within the fellowship. So, but also I believe that leadership is also a service. And the council felt like a space where I could also not only learn and grow, but also contribute to shaping something bigger than my own venture, something that could benefit fellow globally. So for me, applying was just not being called a council member. It was also about adding my voice, my experience, and just showing up for others the same way people had shown up for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambrose. That's really lovely. And my final question is if you could describe your council experience in just 3 words, what 3 words would you use? Anand, coming back to you.
Yeah, just 3 words. I systems. Yeah, systems. Like intercultural / like trans boundaries almost. I don't know. Like it really has collapsed my sense of understanding of like countries. Right? It's like because like these relationships are from everywhere. Yeah, systems, intercultural, transcultural, and maybe yeah, just like fun. I just like it. I think it's like an interesting, thing to be working on, and I enjoy it.
Lovely. Ambrose, what 3 words would you use?
Yeah, I had series of words running in my mind. I think let me just go with the first 3 I've thought of first. I think one is collaborative. Collaborative because I feel like we build everything we do is we build together, and with other council members, with staff, different background, different cultures. And the second word could be I don't know, but grounding. What I mean is because I feel like it's more of building for other people. So just you don't want to scale just, but how about the people we care about? Like we are building for the people, not for scaling, making the resolution project big, but the people inside it. Then the third one is transformative. I think it's I feel like yes, I've grown as well, not just as a leader, but as a listener as well, the teammate, and also community builder. I think those are my 3 top words. Thank you.
Thanks, Ambrose. Thank you both so much for sharing a bit about your experience.